Hey D&D fam, I'm Quick.
And I'm Lee, and you're listening to
Divas and Ducats. So what is a diva? I think divas get a bad rep, but to me, diva is all about the attitude.
As for ducats, it's your finances, your assets, Skrilla, guap, your coin. We're talking all things with the potential to affect your pockets.
And while we're attorneys by trade, we are divas by choice. Divas and Ducats is for edutainment purposes.
Y'all, we are not Series 511 or 703 professionals. This does not create a financial advisor or attorney-client relationship. The views expressed here are solely our opinions and the opinions of our guests.
It's just our opinions, y'all. Okay, divas, let's talk Ducats.
All right. Welcome back, D&D fam. We're glad you are with us. Welcome to October.
Yes, we are entering into the fourth quarter of the year, my favorite season of fall.
Except for pumpkin spice.
I love it because it's everything nice, but they're different. Why? You're the potato girl.
Maybe sweet potato's better. Yeah. It just is.
It is. I don't want a pumpkin pie, but I just like all the drinks and the smells and the...
I could get with the pumpkin smoothie. That's about it. The Starbucks, I don't know if it's the coffee with the pumpkin. It just doesn't work for me. But
Fair enough. But we are here in October, and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. If you have been a longtime follower of the Divas and Ducats podcast, last year during October, we had a guest on that was a breast cancer survivor. And of course, we are going to honor Breast Cancer Awareness Month by bringing in another survivor that is near and dear to my heart, my mother. Say hello to the D&D family, Miss Quick.
Hello, D&D family. My name is Brenda Quick. I'm Linda's mom.
She's my heart. So we'll kind of get into, instead of, usually we have a guest introduce themselves or we do a little bio of them, but it kind of goes into our first question of how did you define yourself before the day you were diagnosed or found that you had breast cancer? Like, what was your career? Who was Brenda Quick?
Okay. I'm the mom of two wonderful children. Me and my husband has been married for 44 years, and I have one terrific, adorable grandson.
He got so many adjectives. I just got wonderful.
Well, the grands.
I adore.
Yes.
I worked as a RN for 22 years on mother baby unit. And I retired in 2012.
Yeah.
So I can say, retired in 2012. Looking forward to retirement. Looking forward to just not having to get up and go to work. I was a night shift worker, so looking forward to not having to go to work at night and missing out on. We used to have a lot of cookouts here, and I would always have to do everything I had to do and then lay down a few hours and get up and go to work. But I know I didn't have to do that anymore.
Right.
So that's basically me. And then I always did breast examinations. You know that we as women and especially nurses, we teach that. We heard that all the time. Do self breast examination, how you should do it and how often you should do it and all this kind of stuff. So at this one particular time, I took my shower and was just doing my self breast examination, and I found a lump. That was in late June of 2013. So as you can see, from 2012 to 2013, less than a year, I found a lump in my breast. So I, a little concerned. Matter of fact, I remember telling them, "You want to feel the lump?" She said, "No, Mom, I don't want to feel it." I said, "Okay." So I called my doctor, scheduled a mammogram. Um, and that was had a mammogram and a breast biopsy, and that was in August of 2013. Um, and then that was on the 7th of August. On the 14th of August, I was called back in to talk to my doctor, and she told me that I had breast cancer. Um, and so she wanted me to come back in to talk with her, and me and Melinda went in and we talked with her, and um, we asked what was our next option. What we asked all kind of questions, and
Right.
uh, just and she was very sweet. Matter of fact, her name was Brenda
Right.
too, and she answered all our questions. Um, but going back a little bit before that, when I first got diagnosed, I remember the day, I remember the hour. Um, Came out of the doctor's office. I don't remember. I don't remember crying. I remember saying, "All right, Lord, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than me. I'm putting it in your hands." And so I went. We had Bible study, and I went to church, and one of the mothers there, Mother Morrissey. I went to her and I asked her for prayer to pray for me, and she laid her hands on me and she told me everything was going to be okay. So then I came home and told my husband, called my children, told them, um, and so just stayed by myself for a little bit, got myself together, prayed, and then I think I cried. Um, so it was emotional time in the beginning when you find out you got breast cancer, because you hear about it all the time,
Right.
but you'll never think it's gonna happen to you. So we went, and like I said, we talked to our doctor, and she said we could do a lumpectomy, which is they go in and they take some of the tissue and they test it. So that's what we did. We had one lumpectomy in September, um, and when they did the lumpectomy, the surrounding tissues around the area was still cancerous. So they did by removing the tissue and everything. They still had to go in and do more because she said that there was too much area, still cancerous area in the breast tissue. And so I was diagnosed with triple breast cancer, which means that the offending tumor is estrogen receptive negative, progesterone receptive negative, and HR2 negative. And on a positive note, this type of breast cancer is typically responsive to chemotherapy. So we did the lumpectomy, matter of fact, did two lumpectomies, and she still wasn't satisfied with the surrounding tissue. So we ended up having a mastectomy.
Okay.
We did the mastectomy, and then after the mastectomy, I had to do chemotherapy. Um, I started IV chemotherapy on November the 11th in 2013, and I had to go every 2 weeks for 3 months. Um, Finishing up on February the 27th, 2014. After chemotherapy, I had to do radiation every day for a total of 6 weeks. Thank God for my faith, because it got me through this. Thank God for my family. They was wonderful. Such a great support team. And I have to thank God for my best friend, Judy. She was with me through every chemo treatment, sit right beside me at Womack. My sisters was there, my daughter were there. So it was great family support, and thank God for each and every one of them. Um, my faith, like I said, my faith kept me going, and I also give strength to each and every one of my family members that was there to support me um, when I, didn't have the strength to do it for myself. They were my strength from one day to the next. And I thank God for them because I knew there was time that they cried, there was time that they prayed that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
But thank God that they were strong around me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They gave me the encouragement and the strength I needed to get through this trying time. Because I believe it was a journey. And because of my love and my faith in God, I think I was able to go through this journey the way I did. Mm-hmm. I remember going to church on every service. Even when it got to the point that I didn't feel like going, I would still go because that gave me strength to be around my family, my church family, be around them and get their support and everything. And it was a while before I told my pastor, because she was going through some mental thing, some health problems her own self, and I didn't want to burden her with what I was going through with. But I eventually told her what was going on so that she would know. So, like I said, it was a time for me and my family. Thank God for my husband. I remember one occasion after had chemotherapy that day, and that night Melinda was here and Mason was here, and I was sick as a dog, throwing up. I was on in one bathroom. Melinda was sick. She was in one other bathroom. My husband was going between me and her, checking us to make sure that we was doing okay. So, like I said, it was great to have a family and support. I don't know if I would have made it, the way I made it if I didn't have them.
That's awesome. So you said, you went through chemotherapy and radiation until basically like early to mid 2014. Was that first round successful, or like what happened after that?
Well, after I finished my chemo, I finished my chemo in February of 2014, and then my oncology doctor, he said that he set me up to start my radiation. Mm-hmm. So for my chemo, I started my radiation in probably mid-May. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I did that every day for 6 weeks. And yes, thank God, for the radiation and the chemo. When I went back, there was all the cancer was gone.
That's awesome.
And when you first got diagnosed or felt your lump in June, I believe it was, before that, had you already had a mammogram earlier that year?
I had one in April.
And then that mammogram didn't detect anything?
Didn't show anything.
Yeah, and I think that's very interesting, and why it's so important, that they say to do our breast checks, right, and not to just rely on those mammograms, because when she told me, I was just like in disbelief, like it was just 2 months ago. How did they not see anything, Yeah. And what if she hadn't done a self-check until the, next year when she was supposed to get another mammogram? That'd have been a whole year, of undiagnosed. So, I just want to point out, it's really, really important that you do those self-checks, because we do heavily depend on technology and machines, but sometimes, it either just wasn't there, or it just got it wrong. We don't know, but we, because you did your self-check, you were able to catch that.
And the odd thing, let me inject this. The odd thing too is that, they was kind of watching the right breast, because I already had a biopsy on the right breast, because they saw, they say I had dense tissue in both breasts, dense tissue. So they was kind of watching the right breast, but it ended up being the left breast that I found. So like she said, it's very important that we do our self-breast examination, because nobody know our body like we do.
Yeah, and then ladies, especially if you drink caffeine, if you like, we say in our statement all the time, coffee, tea, something a little stronger. If you are a coffee, tea drinker, when you're a coffee or caffeine intake, you take in caffeine, you tend to have denser breasts. Right. So that's also a thing that is often common. And even certain ethnicities have denser breast tissue. Right. So just really being aware of that. And I know at my doctor's office, there's even like a almost like one of those sample breasts so you can feel what a lump feels like, because I know me, I mean, I'm just paranoid. I'm like, it just feels lumpy to me. So, to feel the difference between this is your normal tissue and like this is what it will feel like if it's not, you know. So definitely take advantage of that. I know there's so many of those. I have one in my shower, actually, the little placards that show you how to do a breast exam. There's so much literature out there for that. And even my doctor was saying, I mean, maybe it increases intimacy, I don't know. But like even your partner, like that can be, your partner might know you do. They can do your, breast exam and help you. I mean, it's healthy and it's intimate, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Not a bad idea. Yeah. And so when you were mentioning like your support system, but at the same time, during this, you also had other hardships. Like you were not only just dealing with your breast cancer journey, but you had cousins that were diagnosed, right?
Yes, and it's really odd because I thought that when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, oh my God, I got breast cancer. No one else in our family had ever had breast cancer, and the odd thing is, me and my cousin, we was diagnosed around the same time. We are all at like 6 months apart in age. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So we was going through, we had the surgeries around the same time. We were going to chemo around the same time. So it was just odd that nobody in our family had ever had breast cancer, but then it ended up both of us having it at the same time.
Yeah. And like talk about some, like you say, you didn't cry initially, you had to process, and your first thing was your faith, right? Going to God. But after you had time to process and talk to your family about it, you kind of, you had your moment, you had your emotional moment. And like, talk to how you felt did you feel like your family was like tiptoeing around you? Because of course we never cried. I could tell you, for me, I cried on them trips back from Fayetteville to Charlotte. That's when I cried. I would call an auntie or call, grandma. But I would never do it around you. And I don't recall seeing a lot of our other family members doing it. Do you feel like we tiptoed around you with our emotions?
Of course you did. I know you did. And I think it was, I remember one of my nieces telling, I think she told you, don't do that. Aunt Brenda got faith. Don't y'all go there crying and cutting up and making her doubt. So when one, like I said, I think this is one of those things where, the strong link is pull is keep the chain going. I remember telling my best friend, that I had breast cancer. She just bust out, started crying, just hollering. And I told her, stop that. I don't you do it. Don't you dare do that. I want you to pray with me. I want you to pray for me. I don't want you to, don't you do that. Don't you do that. God is bigger than this. And it had to be undoubtable faith at that time. I had to really step out on faith and really believe. I had tried God for myself, so I knew what God could do. So I had to believe that God was going to take me through this. And even if he didn't, I still had the faith that I knew that he could. I remember, because it was a while before I told my mom, your mom is your heart. And so I remember going down there, and we was all there, I believe. And I know Melinda was there. So I called Mom back to one of the bedrooms, and Melinda came there, and we sit on the chair. And I told her that I had breast cancer, and she said, "Oh, my baby," And so that was very emotional for me, and to tell her. And then she told me that my cousin, my cousin, and her mom was my mom's sister. So they was two sisters with two children going through breast cancer at the same time.
Yeah.
So we just, like I said, it was, I knew y'all didn't let me see y'all upset or crying because of me. I know you did, but I also knew that when you were by yourself, I knew it was something, here I am going through breast cancer, and all the time the diagnosis is not good.
Yeah. And so you spoke to, you were saying you had like triple breast cancer. Like what stage, when you were diagnosed, like what stage were you in?
I was at stage 2.
Okay.
And my doctor told me that at stage 2, I had a good chance of beating this. He said, well, we're going to put a plan in process, and when we do this, you follow the plan, and because you caught it early, we have a good chance of being successful with this, and we were.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so what is the post-recovery, right? Because most people think, what we see on Instagram, social media, people ring the bell, right? In our minds, it's done, right? They ring the bell and it's done. But as a survivor, like what is that? Do you still have to go back to the doctor? Do you still have checks? Like how is it emotionally and mentally, going to those doctor appointments?
It's still, even though you ring that bell, that's your last, usually ring the bell at your last radiation treatment.
Okay.
So after ringing the bell, that you still, you're still going to have to get your checks. At first I was getting mammograms every 6 months. Because I had a port in place, I had to go get my port flushed every 2 weeks. So that was a reminder that, it's, I still got, this is not over. You know what I'm saying? It's not over. Even though I believe God heal me of breast cancer. Now I get my mammogram every year. Last year when I got it, they saw something that they didn't like in my right breast. And it didn't bother me because I just knew it was nothing. So after they did the mammogram, they wanted me to have a sonogram done. And so I went in and had the sonogram done. And he was showing me the area that they were concerned about. But then he said, and we're going to take a picture, and we want you to come back in 3 months, and we're gonna compare that sonogram with this sonogram, and if it have no changes, then we'll know it was either the scar tissue from when you had the biopsy, because I had 2 biopsies on my right breast. And so we're not going to worry about it. And that's when I went back after the 3 months, and he did another one. He said it's just that is from the scar tissue, and you just come back in another year and we'll do another mammogram. So it's you're constantly, you're still doing your checks, your self-breast exam, you're still doing those. You are always aware of what happened, that you went through it. And so you don't ever let your guard down. I don't believe you. I don't ever let my guard down. I do what I have to do. I have my regular, like I said, I have my regular mammograms. Matter of fact, one is due in October, my yearly mammogram. So I keep those up to date, and have my doctor that did the surgery, my breast doctor. I use it after I do my mammogram. Then I have an appointment with her, and she come in and she explain what the mammogram, if they saw anything, if they didn't see anything, and she'll do a thorough check of my right breast.
Got you. And so my question, more so for Quick, is as someone who is supporting a person going through, you supported last year's guest, Eunice, and your mom. What were the things that you leaned on in having to, as you said, make sure that you're strong for the person going through it, but then you also have your feelings?
I think at some point in time, right, you kind of just go into what needs to be done. And I think women as a whole, we tend to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew at the time, my son was 1 year old, 1.5 years old. I knew I was going to be going back and forth as much as possible while I was working to her appointment. So, I had to get another car that was reliable transportation. And it just became really research. So that took a lot of it off my mind, trying to figure out, even when she got diagnosed, what level of cancer, what does that mean? Because you hear all these big words, you don't know where it affects. That was the first time I really understood what a lymph node was. I'll never forget it now. But, that's when you start learning all of that stuff. But I think it really, really helps when you have both, my friend Eunice, who was there last year that we had on the podcast, and my mom, both of them are very peaceful people, and they're very deeply rooted in their faith. So I think my experience might be very different from someone who might be with someone who's already naturally mean or dramatic. Because my mom, or there was never a woe is me. Why? If there was a why me moment, I never heard it.
Gotcha.
They could have did that and bent the knee behind the closet, but I never heard it. So it wasn't some emotion. I didn't have to pull emotions to try to make them feel better. If anything, I was pulling to try to make them feel better with actually being sick. Like then, when my mom got sick, and I laughed because I was like, Mom, I've been over been the toilet for different reasons. What I'm saying? Use a cold cloth. Right. So just trying to make her laugh, and make her feel better. But I too, because of who my parents are, I have a strong community. I also built a strong community. I have strong friendships, and I have friends that I can cry on their shoulders. I can call them, and they just let me weep. So I didn't have to do that in front of my mom because I had a support system that would allow me to do that. So it was. Their faith just helped me really get through it, because when you're with someone and there's no doubt in their mind that they're going to get through this, like Mama said, even if God didn't pull her through it in the way that we hoped, she still knew that He could, and that's all she gave us. Like that's it, So you don't have an option but to go in there and be strong, and and I was also asking, like, Mom, can you talk about? Because I think one thing that blew my mind was that while my mom was going through cancer treatment, she had started, I think in 2012, with the scriptures that you send out, the encouraging.
After my sister died in 2012.
Yeah. So you want to talk about that a little? Because I just think it's like mind-blowing that you were able to do that.
Yeah, my sister passed, and I retired November 31st in 2012. My sister died December the 1st, 2012. So that just took the toll on the whole family, and we were just, it was just, no, she can't be gone. She can't be gone. And so what God laid it on my heart, and I to send out scriptures, and I started sending out to our immediate family, sent it to about 8 or 9 people. And that was started in 2012, and I'm still doing it. Started out with 8 or 9 people, now I'm up to 94, and so that's a daily thing for me that I look forward to. And scriptures just to encourage somebody that you can make it. Everything you might be going through this or that, because everybody's going through something or the other. But just to be encouraged, to let them know that God is on your side and that God haven't left you, and that He will give you strength to survive. And I even send out, we laugh. I know some of the daily encouragement makes you laugh and makes you smile, makes you think. But I just enjoy it, and it's been a blessing to me. And so many have told me how it has blessed them.
Yeah, and I think the amazing thing to me, though, was while she was sick and going through that and could have been in a very deep place of depression. And it's not to say that anyone that goes through cancer and does go through depression, like, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, you're not strong enough, because that's definitely not it. Everybody handles things in their own way, right? But while she was going through that, she didn't miss a day. Like, she was still sending out these messages, encouraging other people. I mean, I think that kind of thing, like, when you're seeing that, it's just like, come on, you got to be able to support, you know, to those kind of things. And to kind of segue also, because like we always like to say, we are divas and ducats, you know, so we do like to always talk about the financial component of it. Just talk about a little bit, like, cancer is expensive. Like, outside of emotional toll, physical toll, like, is it a financial toll? Because it's expensive. Like, did you see, and I guess, you know, just to put it out, my parents are military, right? So my mom's experience is a little different, because she was able to use a lot of, you know, the veteran and military hospital, and, you know, so it's a little different from a civilian. But did you see a lot of those bills, like how much a cancer shot or something costs?
Thank God, like she said, my husband was military, so thank God I was able to get my surgeries at the military hospital. So it didn't cost me anything. I was able to get all my chemotherapy at the hospital. But I do remember I had to take after each chemotherapy treatment, I had to take a pill that Saturday, and that pill, the doctor told me it cost $2,000, and that was to build my white blood cell count back up for the next treatment. So I can imagine that if I wasn't blessed to be able to use the military or the TRICARE insurance, how much it would have cost. And like I said, the chemotherapy and the radiation was paid for by TRICARE, which is the military insurance. So I didn't have any financial burdens because of my cancer, but thank God, you know, that I was in the position not to have to worry about that on top of everything else.
Yeah. And then I do think so outside of like the cancer, because we know, you know, thankfully, you know, just because of the military experience, you know, father being military, that took care of the cancer. But there are still bills, right? There are still bills that are coming. People will still have car payments. How do you feel like your financial management before you even got sick allowed you to, once you know, because, you know, Dad always said it, like, prepare for war in a time of peace, right? So how do you feel like your financial management and the way y'all handled money before you even got sick allow you during this time of war to have peace?
Well, thank God for having the mindset to put away for a rainy day. I was retired, so I was getting a retirement check. At the time, my husband was retired, so financially we were, you know, and I thank God that we was able to pay most of our, you know, homes off. I say homes because we have 9 of them. We was able to pay our homes off, our cars off. So we just during the time that we were together, we worked together.
Right.
We saved together. And, you know, I've never been a big spender, but if it's something I want, I you know, financially we can afford it.
Right.
Well, I thank God for having that hindsight to put away money, to save money, and not just blow every penny that you earn.
Right. And I think it's just important because I think a lot of people, when they think about, and I'm not sure what episode I've said it on, but when people think about bankruptcy, they think about people being irresponsible with their money. But actually, like, one of the top, if not the number one reason for people filing bankruptcy is medical expenses. Like, it's very expensive to be sick.
It's very, very, and even medication. When you think of people that can't afford medication, if it comes to paying your light bill or buying your medicine,
right,
you're gonna pay your light bill. So it's I just recommend that there's a lot of foundations out here. There's a lot of things that's available that you can find assistance with. There's a lot of charitable organizations that'll help you. You know, I know that breast cancer has a lot of organizations that's willing to help moms, you know, get their mammograms. Help women get their mammograms if they can't afford them. The medication. So there's help out there for us, but we just have to tap into those
tap into those resources for sure.
Yeah.
And I thank God, like I said, you know, 2014 is when I finished my chemo and radiation. And in 2014 is the same time my husband started his journey with dementia. So it is, you know, from one thing to the other. And so God, like I said, it's a lot. But when you got a relationship with God and truly have one with Him, it don't matter. It don't phase you because you know that God has got your back.
Yeah, and I mean, it was almost like it wasn't like a start. You started, you know, stopped radiation, and Daddy started, you know, dementia. It was kind of almost like an integration of the two, right? Because I remember distinctly, I'll never forget that day. Like, we were outside of the hospital and we called Dad to come pick us up because Mom's, you know, car wouldn't start. We couldn't figure out how to get inside to get OnStar. OnStar didn't bless us that day, so we couldn't get in. And we, you know, called my dad to come up to the military. And this is a man who's been in the military for 25 years, almost 30 years. Made this journey for almost 20 years of his life when he wasn't, you know, somewhere overseas or something, but he couldn't figure out how to get to the hospital, right? We had to call my brother, and he went and found my dad, and then, you know, they came to the hospital together. And I think that's kind of when we realized, like, this is way more serious than we think, you know, what's going on. But again, we were coming out of appointment for my mom.
Yeah.
So, you know, while she was dealing with her own cancer journey, she was also having to now become a caretaker, you know. So it's just, like I said, you know, her faith is just, it blows my mind. It really blows my mind, because it'll drive, it's enough to drive a person crazy. It really is. Yeah. So, you know, what would you like to say to maybe a mom or a dad? Because you were when you were up there getting your treatments, you saw men up there, right?
Yes. I saw all races of people.
Yeah.
All ages of people. Men, women, you know,
and no respect of person.
No, right, exactly. And I was talking to a nurse, and she was saying to me that, she said, I don't care what somebody say to you coming out of this area. If they coming out this area, they got cancer. And so it's just for women. I encourage you to do breast examinations. I encourage you to get your mammograms. It could save your life. And if you know somebody that has been diagnosed, be supportive to them. Be supportive to them, because there are going to be days that they not have even strength enough to vacuum a floor, even strength enough to walk from the bedroom down to the kitchen to get a glass of water. Be their support person. Just be there for them, and you won't regret it. You won't regret it. I just thank God for my daughter Melinda and Leandra for just inviting me and giving me the opportunity to tell my story, you know, because like I said, everybody's story is different. Everybody went through different challenges. I thank God that during the time I was taking chemotherapy, I can only remember one or two times that I got really, really sick. So that was a blessing to me, you know, and I've heard stories where they, you know, every time they take chemo, they stay on the toilet, you know, throwing up and stuff. But I thank God, you know, matter of fact, I remember a couple of times I took my chemotherapy treatment. That evening I got on the road and went to see my grandbaby and my daughter. And so, like I said, each person is different. But I just encourage every woman to do their self breast examinations, and and get their mammograms done when it's time. And another thing, those markers that they talk about, you hear about, that if your mom had breast cancer, then your daughter might get it. Thank God we did that test, and Melinda don't have those genes that I didn't have the genes or whatever that passed that down to her. Yeah. So thank you for that.
And I did want to make I did want to go back to a question I was thinking, because it distinguished from our last guest that did Cocapping.
Oh yeah.
And did you hear about Cocapping? Did you know anything about what it was?
I never heard about it. Yeah. I don't remember the doctors talking about it when I was going through chemotherapy. I don't remember. I know that one of the nurses told me. She said, because one of the nurses said, you might lose some of your hair. The black nurse said, she said, every bit of your hair gonna come out.
Some of it.
So I said, okay. She said, so just get ready, because it's all them pretty locks.
Because mom had long locks.
Your shoulder, all of them coming out.
Yeah.
And so no, I never heard of Cocapping.
And for those that don't know and haven't watched the last episode, Cocapping actually is a process that they have. If you're going through chemo, if you're going through cancer treatments, that it's painful from what I understand, because it freezes your head, basically. Like, it just freezes the cells and stuff while you're going through chemotherapy. There's a whole community on it for Facebook. You can look it up, but it allows you to it helps you keep your hair through the process. I do know that our guest last year decided to end up restarting her locks because she felt like she was thinning, but she kept most of her locks through her process, but she was also saying at the time when she went through, she learned out about it because of her own research. It wasn't something the doctors or nurses or anything in the hospital was telling them, so I thought it was also interesting that you kind of confirmed that, like, no one brought Cocapping to you, right, as an option. And did you lose your hair?
Yes, I remember it so distinctly. We had went to my nephew's Christmas celebration. I think it was like December the 6th or something. And so we had went over there, and we had came home, and I could just, I just reached my hand in my hair, and pulled out a whole hand of hair. And so I know it was coming out just like that. So what I did was, I told Melinda was here at the time, and called my son over. He's a barber. And I told him to go ahead and shave it off, because I didn't want it to be spots here and there, and 2 or 3 weeks coming out a little bit at a time. So he did. He shaved all my hair. Matter of fact, I still got all my locks in it. But shaved all my hair, and that, when I looked in the mirror, I think I shedded some tears because all my hair was gone, but I think I looked pretty cute with a bald head. I remember walking in church with my bald head, and one of the ladies said, "Wow, she's just as pretty with a bald head as she was with hair." So
yeah, you're absolutely beautiful.
I wore it proudly. Yeah.
And if you ever want them back, that's the cheat code now. They cutting them locks and sewing them right back in. They're not going through the process anymore, Miss Brenda. So you can get them right on back.
Yeah. But I have come to be accustomed to my mom with her short TWA, as they call it, and I love it. So I did want to just circle back to that, because I know, just as women, we're often taught like our hair is our glory, right? And then when you go through that process, if that's constantly drilled into you, you are your hair. Now, there's songs that say you are not.
Yeah.
But women, we have such emotional attachments to our hair. If we go through something dramatic, we cut a hair, we color our hair. Like usually the first thing we do is something to our hair. So, I just wanted to know how that process was for you emotionally, and just, I think that's sometimes from the things that I've heard, I have a few friends and line sisters that have gone through cancer. Like that was when they got the diagnosis, their first thought. Like before, it was their hair, not chemo or radiation, or if I gotta have a mastectomy, it was their hair, So just just encouraging women like that. If that happens, you will get through it, right? You will get through it, and you'll come out stronger for it, and it's hair.
It's hair.
It's hair.
It's there.
Yeah.
Thank God, it's since been 8 years, almost 8 years.
Yeah.
Thank God for it.
Yeah. Alexa Q, I'm a survivor. So, Ma, we really, really enjoyed having you on. Thank you for sharing your story to our family. I'm so glad we got through this without crying, because I have on these lashes and I was not ready for them to come off. DNZ family, if you do not see them, head on over to the YouTube, subscribe, and follow us. But I am so glad that you came on and shared your story. I love you with my whole heart.
I love y'all. I love both of y'all, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. So do you have anything, Lee?
I do not, unless you want to do.
Well, no, we don't have to. Just, if you are on YouTube, we are on YouTube. Follow us and subscribe. We're at Divas and Duckets. We, keep our name consistent through everything, right? So website, divasandduckets.com. You can go on there and become get our letters, submit a diva letter if you have questions or have a financial question that you want the divas to read on the air. And on Instagram and Facebook, we are on Divas and Duckets. Please like, share, and follow us. And until next time and in between time.
All right, bye.
Have a great attitude. Bye.